Something does not want me to record these videos for you. So today I've been recording and I recorded all of them and none of them had sound, which is kind of crazy. I told you I'm in a new place. I'm at a hotel, so I'm not at my original setup. So when I took the microphone off, I forgot to reset my recording software to say to record from the computer. But in any event, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But in any event, the show must go on. So Photoshop is open. Okay, so you make sure that your Photoshop is open. And your interface might look different than mine only because like I try to make sure when I'm doing tutorials that it's as if I've never opened the program before. So you may have recent files in here and things like that. So don't be alarmed by it looking different. It's okay. All right, so first thing we want to do is open a new document or start a new document. And there are two ways we can do it. We can do it over here. We can do it with new, clicking here. We could also do start new. We could also do the shortcut key, which is Command or Control N, which will also open a new document. So let's go ahead and open that. When we open a new document, we're going to get the new document dialog box. And we have to figure out what our intent is. If our intent is for photo, then we're going to choose photo. If it's for print, then we'll choose print. If it's for art and illustration, we would choose that one. If it's for web, mobile, or film and video, we would choose those. And the reason we would choose those is because then Photoshop kind of helped us out because it has built-in presets for us, and we didn't have to figure this stuff out. What? That's what I'm talking about. Of course, that's what we want to do. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to choose web. And the reason we're choosing web is because what we're doing is a Facebook interface. Now you're going to put the settings in later, but right now we're just going to do a Facebook interface, and I'll be giving you what the settings and stuff are. But when you go to changes, so let's see, we choose web, and then we have a width and a height and a resolution over here and the color mode. So what this does is the preset is it knows that we're doing web, so it's going to set it at 72 resolution, and then it's going to set the color mode to RGB color, okay, which is the best for web. So what we want to do also is we want to uncheck artboards. What artboards are is if we were doing documents and it had multiple sizes, we would have different artboards for those sizes. But for now, we don't need that. We're going to uncheck artboard and we're going to choose most common. So we're going to click on that and then we're going to choose create. What happens at that point is we have our background. Photoshop's like, yo, here you go. And we're like, yay, we love you and all that fun stuff. All right, so I'm going to start off by opening a document. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to place. So we have two ways we can place. We can place embedded or we can place linked. Embedded means that that document that you're using is a part of your file, which makes the file size a little larger. Linked means that the document is not a part of your file, but it is linked to your file. And it makes a smaller file size. But the issue with that is when you give this to the client or whoever you want to give it to, you have to make sure that you give them that linked file as well. All right. But to keep things easy, we're just going to do place embedded. All right. I'm just grabbing any photo. I have a photo that's in here. I think this is from a class that I took a while ago, but I'm just using it for this. I'm not putting it anywhere else. All right. So here's a photo that I'm using, and we're just going to talk about the interface for now. So we have the move tool, right? So what the move tool does is exactly what it says. It moves the photo around. So all I did was click on the move tool, and I'm moving this photo around. The move tool is this top one, which is the 4-arrow crosshair. All right. The next tool that we have are our selection tools. So we have rectangular marquee, elliptical marquee, single row, and single column. So if I choose the marquee and I just draw out a square, that is the rectangular marquee. Now, if I wanted that marquee to be perfect in square, I'm going to go up to select, deselect to deselect the marching ants. And that's all I did. So now what I want to do is I'm going to draw this out from the center. So if I draw it out from the center of where I first had my mouse, see my mouse was here, and I'm drawing it out, all I'm doing is holding the Alt key. I'm holding the Alt or Option key down and I'm drawing out. And so see, it draws out from the center from where I first placed my mouse. See that? It's drawing out from the center. Now if I want this to be a perfect square, let's say this was for Instagram, I'm going to hold Shift And what the shift key does is make sure that no matter how large I make this, that it is a perfect square. Now, if I wanted to move this, because notice if I make a selection now, it wouldn't make sense. It's not his face, it's just like the bottom part of his face. I'm going to hold the shift bar. When I hold the shift bar, notice the shift one will let me move this around. See that? And now I'm going to let go of shift for a second, only shift. And I want this to be a little larger. Now I'm going to hold shift again and move it. Okay? So, and then I let go of the mouse. Now, when you let go of the mouse, you want to make sure that you let go of the mouse you let go of the mouse before you let go of those modifier keys. And notice what those modifier keys are. So, I'm going to do this again because I want to make sure you understand. So, I deselected by hitting Command or Control D. Okay? Command if you're on a Mac, Control if you're on a PC. So, it's Command or Control D. All right? So, I'm going to go back through that again. Okay, so I have the rectangular marquee. This time I'm going to do it with the elliptical marquee, okay? Because I just did it with the rectangular marquee. I'm going to do it with the elliptical marquee. All right, so now I have the elliptical marquee selected, right? Because all I did was hold down the mouse button and then it gave me the other options. Anytime you see these little arrows in the tools, that means that there are more tools that are hidden, okay? So I have the elliptical marquee. I'm going to kind of see what I think the center is. I think the center will be here. I'm going to either draw out a circle, and notice it's just drawing that circle out, but I want the circle to be drawn from the center of where I had my mouse button. So all I'm doing is holding Alt. So when I held Alt, notice it's drawing it from the center, because if I make this smaller, you'll see this is where I started, and I'm just drawing from the center. Okay, that's all, nothing crazy. And then if I want to make this a perfect circle, I'm going to hold Shift. Notice that. I held the Shift key. And then if I want to move this around, now I have this pretty much where I want it, but just to show you, if I wanted to move this around, notice I'm still holding the Alt and Shift, and I'm going to add one more modifier key, which is the space bar, so that I can move this around if I needed to. So with the space bar, I'm moving it around. And then when I'm finished, when I have this selection exactly how I want it, I'm going to let go of the mouse first, not the modifier keys. I'm going to let go of the mouse click first. This way I've committed to that selection, and now I can let go of the modifier keys. So making sure you do it in that order is important, because if you don't, it's going to do all sorts of other stuff, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Yeah, and I get it, because I'm saying I'm human, and I was a student before too. So I just want to make sure that you guys got that. All right, so I'm going to deselect this. Remember, there's a shortcut. I can hit Command or Control D, or I can go up to Select, Deselect. Whichever one you want to do is the one that's going to work for you, and that works. All right, so the next key, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the lasso tools. So yours should look like this. Don't worry about mine look weird, because I just told you I did this recording so many times. But anyway, this is the lasso tool. So the first one is the lasso tool. What this does is allows you to draw a selection free form, sort of like if you had a paper and pen, you just draw it out. So you're worried about this arrow. See that top arrow that's on top of the lasso that's pointing like in a diagonal direction? That's the one you're worried about. So where that is, that's where you're going to start to draw. So let's make sure that arrow is like at the top of whatever you're using, and then let's just draw it out. And you're free form selecting. Now remember, I'm using a mouse. I'm at this conference and I don't have my tablet, but hopefully you have something better and you're drawing it. So I'm just drawing stuff out and around, and I'm doing it loosely, and it's horrible, but that's okay. I just drew a selection, and this is how you draw it. So tell me, what is the shortcut key to deselect? See, I heard you guys. I heard you say Command or Control D, and you're absolutely right. It is. All right, so we're going to draw that out again just to make sure. So I'm going to draw this. I still have the same tool, that lasso tool. It lets us freeform draw, and that's what we're doing. Drawing around whatever you have, and boom, and it makes the selection, which is so awesome. What's that shortcut key again? You said Command or Control D because you're so bright. You're so brilliant. Oh my gosh, I miss you guys already. Okay, so the next tool that we're going to use is the polygonal lasso. And again, remember, we're just going to hold it down, And then we're going to click. And this one, we do point, and it lets us point and click our selection all the way until we get to the end. And then when we see that circle, we'll know that we have completed. Oh, that's right. This one we don't have to do that. But we have completed our selection. Now that's horrible, but that's okay. We're learning. That's all we're using this for, is learning. Now we're going to deselect because you told me that shortcut key was what? Command or Control D. You're so smart. So again, with this one, all we did was point and click because it does points, and that's how it makes the selection. Now there are ways around this. We won't learn that yet. Points and clicks, and that's all we're doing. It's pointing and clicking until we see the circle and we've made a selection. Too cool, right? Shortcut key. Oh, you know what? Let's go to the menu. What was the menu? We go to select, deselect. Boom. Same process. Either Command or Control D or select, deselect. All right. So the next tool that we want to go for is the magnetic lasso tool. Now with this one, remember again, it's the arrow that we care about. We're going to click and just hold. We're doing no more clicking. We're just following our subject, because what this tool does is it looks for the contrast between the subject and the background, and it makes a selection and guides itself based off of that. So we're just trying to make a selection around his face and his neck, and then his neck and the back of his head. So remember, whatever image you have, if you have a ball or whatever, you did a Google search or whatever, any image is going to work. When we see that circle that shows up under the lasso tool, we'll know that we've completed this selection. And voila, we have a selection, my friends. All right, you tell me that shortcut key was Command D. All right, so we did those two selection tools. I'm going to end the video now, because what I want to do is I want these to be short burst videos, because YouTube will say, oh, that's just too large, and we just can't do it. So, all right, so I'm going to end the video here, and this is part 1. We'll get to the rest of the stuff in the rest of the videos. But hopefully I didn't go too fast for you, because I wasn't trying to. I was trying to go slow, but steady at the same time. So hopefully you guys were able to get that, and all we did was just selection tools. We did the tool tools. We did the move tool. We did the, as far as the menu, select and deselect, file new, and that fun stuff. So we got more stuff to cover, but for now, we are golden.